Croissant.
Hello there everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Elliot Webber and welcome to episode 6 of BTCC What If Series 2. Of course, a series on my channel where we take a look back at something that happened in BTCC and we see what would happen if it played out differently, or in this case, what if a driver returned to the championship in the modern day. And in this episode, we are going to be seeing what if Yvan Muller returned to the BTCC. So, as always, let's get straight into this. Now, for those of you who don't know who Yvan Muller is, Yvan Muller debuted in the BTCC in 1998 with the factory Audi team. He then moved to Vauxhall for 1999, where he would then spend the rest of his BTCC career there. Between 1999 and 2005, he would win one BTCC championship in 2003 and would take 36 BTCC wins from my memory. I believe that's how many he took. I will probably put something up just in case I'm wrong. And then, yeah, once he left at the end of 2005, he would go on to race in the World Touring Car Championship, where he would take 4 championships, racing for the likes of Seat, Chevrolet, Citroen, and Volvo, and most recently racing in the TCR or the WTCR in 2022 with Lincoln Co. He has not been seen racing since, so while he has never officially confirmed his retirement, it is safe to say that Yvan likely won't be back in a touring car anytime soon. However, we are going to be seeing what if Yvan Muller decided not only to return to touring car racing in 2025, but also what if he returned to the UK. As we know, Yvan Muller debuted at the peak of BTCC, as I mentioned, in 1998 with Audi, and he obviously likely made a couple of friends, but he did also make some enemies. Of course, as many people know, the iconic and fierce, toxic, some might say the iconic battle between himself and Jason Plato in 2001, where Plato would take the championship. He would also have some great battles with his next teammate, James Thompson, Jimmy T, where, of course, James would take 2 championships. And obviously, as I mentioned earlier, Yvan would only take 1 in 2003. But then, yeah, and would then go on to have a championship battle with Matt Neal, where Matt would then take that championship in 2005. And then, of course, Yvan would leave for the World Touring Cars. Now, how are we going to do this? Well, first of all, we're going to see what team Yvan would race for, and then we will see how well he would do if he was to come back next year in 2025 per se. So yeah, starting off, what team would he drive for? Well, the majority of the teams that were in 2005 and before that aren't on the grid anymore. Some of them don't even exist as businesses now. So yeah, it's going to be very difficult to judge because, as I've mentioned, Yvan did make a couple of enemies as well as friends. But if Yvan was to return, honestly, I'm going for a little bit of nostalgia here. If Yvan was to return, I think realistically it would likely be with one of the factory teams like BMW or Napa or Accelerate or Toyota. But for nostalgia purposes here, I think Yvan would return with Power Max Racing in the Vauxhall Astra. You know, there are so many drivers that you can match a manufacturer to. You know, for example, Gordon Shedden will forever be a Honda man in my eyes. That's same for Matt Neal. You know, Jason Plato, you can match tons of manufacturers with him. For me, I'd match Plato to Seat or Chevrolet. Probably more Chevrolet because Jason was at Chevy when I first started watching BTCC. You know, Colin Turkington, despite, you know, his days at Vauxhall and his days at Subaru, he will forever be a BMW man. I'm sure, you know, Colin Turkington is Mr. BMW in my eyes. So yeah, and for me, you know, looking back at the footage on YouTube and obviously the season reviews on DVD, Yvan Muller to me will always be a Vauxhall man, even though, you know, he's driven for so many manufacturers over the years. You know, as I've mentioned, Seat, Chevrolet as well in World Touring Cars, Citroen, Volvo, Lincoln Co. you know, Yvan, in my eyes, will always be a Vauxhall man. So, you know, putting nostalgia in front of me here, a little biased by nostalgia per se, I would predict Yvan Muller to return to Power Max Racing in this what-if scenario. So then, yeah, moving on to how he would perform. Again, we have to take age into this. We have to take experience. Yvan Muller has never driven the NGTC Spec Touring cars. He's obviously, in real life, hasn't raced since 2022. Not only that, he hasn't driven on a UK circuit in almost 20 years, or maybe, I don't know, actually, I think a little over a decade, because I did know the World Touring cars did used to come to the UK in their early days. So, yeah, it's been about 10, 15 years since Yvan Muller last raced on a UK track. So, yeah, you know, you have to take that into account. Also, I don't know if I mentioned that already, but age as well. Yvan Muller is no spring chicken anymore. So you do have to take that into account. But Yvan Muller, he's always been a solid driver. In my opinion, he is one of the greatest touring car drivers, full stop. You know, again, as I've mentioned, a 4-time world champion, 1-time BTCC champion. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, had more titles if, you know, things went his way. And whatnot. You know, if you look at between, you know, 2001 to 2004, he very well and truly could have won 4 in a row. Had, again, as I mentioned, had luck and whatnot, gone more his way. We could be talking about Yvan Muller being a 4-time champion. So yeah. So how do I think he would do? You know, if we go into this scenario knowing the entire 2025 lineup, which no one knows at this point. Of course, there are rumours of, you know, Ronan Pearson coming back to Toyota, a potentially new team, which I might talk about in a couple of days. So, yeah, I think if Yvan Muller was to return to the BTCC in 2025 with Power Max Racing in that Vauxhall, I think he would likely be just a little bit worse than Aaron Taylor-Smith. You know, I can, you know, say so much about ATS after that brilliant 2024 season. I think, you know, again, taking the long time out of the UK, the long time out of racing, the age and whatnot, I do think ATS would naturally outperform Yvan. But, you know, I'm not saying Yvan wouldn't do badly, because he wouldn't. This is still Yvan Muller we're talking about. So, yeah, I think Yvan would be a multiple point scorer, possibly top 10 regularly. I think, you know, he would perform very well at his strong tracks, like Thruxton is one of his best tracks. Alton Park, he was always very good at. Even Brands Hatch was a great track for Yvan. So, you know, I definitely think Yvan would 100% have some standout drives and some standout moments. I don't think he would be consistently outperforming Aaron Taylor-Smith if they were teammates in this scenario. So, yeah, honestly, I'm predicting a best finish of maybe like 4th or 5th, maybe a podium, maybe, you know, I think maybe. But again, you know, this is a scenario. You can disagree with me. If you guys want, you can predict Yvan to win the championship in this scenario. So, yes. But honestly, I think he'd maybe get a couple of podiums, you know, realistically, and he would be contending for the Independence Championship. That's pretty much all I can say. You know, I am taking, you know, all of these little things into account, like I mentioned, the lack of NGTC touring car experience, the lack of, you know, you know, again, hasn't raced in the UK for a long time, so that well could be another thing. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, guys. What do you think would happen if Yvan Muller returned to the BTCC in 2025? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And just in case anyone does get a little bit confused, this is not a prediction video. I am not predicting Yvan to come back at all. I don't think Yvan's coming back to BTCC anytime soon, if not at all. As I mentioned at the start of the video, he is virtually retired now, despite not officially confirming it. But yeah, due to the fact he hasn't raced in World Touring cars for 2 years, I don't think we'll see Yvan Muller back in a front-wheel drive touring car very soon. But I could be wrong. And yeah, who knows? In this world of motorsport, it's the most unpredictable sport in the world. So, yeah, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below, guys. What do you think would happen if Yvan Muller returned to the BTCC? What team do you think he'd drive for, and how well do you think he would perform? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Of course, if you are new around here, be sure to like this video, share with your mates as well, because it, of course, does help my channel grow. And, of course, press that red subscribe button, because we are firmly on the road to 400 subscribers. Once again, thank you for 300 subs. And, yeah, I'll see all of you in the next one, guys. Goodbye.